Hi, my name is Deep. Uh, I'm just starting my new podcast of a thing, to talk about a few white papers on disinformation and propaganda ecosystems based on cybersecurity. I hope it helps you guys. So I'm just trying something new. So let me go ahead. Okay. So today we are going to talk about disinformation and propaganda ecosystem. So what does this mean and why it is important? I've been past 6 months or 7 months. I'm seeing all these different sources of this Twitter, Facebook, or your media, and yep, they have many people say different things, and it's it is difficult to understand or to come into conclusion who's saying the right news. And if especially if you see in US, like they say in 2016 there's a election interference, or right now if you see related this COVID, there is many disinformation. So I just thought to find little details about these things, how this disinformation or propaganda ecosystem works. So then I came across this two studies, so these two white papers. So okay, let me people. It's difficult. It's difficult to read white papers for many people. So I thought, okay, let's pick some stuff and just read some stuff about that. So what they're trying to say and what was their analysis. So these two white papers were very good. So I thought, okay, let's go ahead and try. Okay, so let's go on. So one is like the first PDF, which is released by Global Engagement Center at US. So what these guys do is it's like they work on trying to understand this informational disinformation warfare tactics, and how these states are trying to change the outcome of any narrative. Okay. So these guys working on that, and these guys have made a report. So they are called the Global Engagement Center at the US. So what their mainly purpose of do work is like to work with other interagencies, and try to gather as much intel as possible. So for example, if you are posting a tweet or retweet, so they are trying to understand where it is originated and who's behind that and all the stuff, or is it impacting the elections or any COVID scenarios and all this stuff. Okay, so that's what this first white paper is about. And what they're trying to say here is, it's like they are trying to say that uh, they are categorizing it. See, when you say disinformation, that is something you cannot, you know, who's starting the disinformation, and how these guys are doing. So that's what they are trying to say. So they are trying to find out, who are these guys and what they're trying to do. So that's the whole narrative here, and that's what they're trying to find here. So if you see here, what they're trying to say is there are different types of ecosystems they have. One they say is official government communications, okay, and state funded messaging, global messaging, proxy, cultivation of proxy sources, then making use of our social media, and again cyber enabled disinformation. That means you hack some sites, or make some you know uh, make a clone of a particular site, Okay, so these are the different types of ecosystem they are talking about. So if I want to give an example, like what they are trying to say is, one thing they can say that, for official government communication. Okay, so they were one good example I can say is like that Maria Zakova. I don't know who that spokesperson is. So she told that, Osama bin Laden is welcomed at White House or something. I don't know it is it's a correct quote or not, but they were saying that, that was one good example for your official government communication. And when you say state funded uh, you know uh, global messaging, so for example you have this foreign media. So there was one scenario, they tell that, US secret laboratories are present in the borders of Russia and China. So that means what they're trying to say is like, uh, they are, because of this COVID, they are, they're saying that, see, US is also having some secret laboratories in China, Russia, and they're trying to do some manufacturing of virus and all this stuff. And one more thing is like, you if you heard about MS-17, like they told that, Ukraine is allowed to fabricate some evidence. Okay, so these are, foreign media who do this stuff. Okay, in global scale on messaging system. And when we talk about cultivation of proxy sources, okay, so one good example is there is a one thing called global research. So they were saying, the virus evidence is, is originated from US or something like that. And one more thing is Crimea. So they told that it should be recognized. So there were different types of sources where you can reach. Okay, or if I can say, uh, again, yep. So these are about the, proxy sources. So generally what happens is, once they make this all this narrative, okay, and they start to make a disinformation. Then once they start, the narrative has been created, okay, then they need some weapons. That means if you have bullets, you need to fire, right? So what they do is they use this different kind of social media like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit, to to amplify their messages. Okay, so these are, they start making some claims. Okay, and other thing is, like for example, cyber enabled disinformation. So this is nothing but, like you do espionage, like you send some attack, or you one good example is you attack your DNC, and you what they do is they capture the email, and at the right time of the election they released it. So that's changed the election, right? Election narrative. So many number of email is being leaked. Okay, that's something, they should be careful. So this is like, disinformation is like an organized crime, what they're trying to say. And if you see especially here, so if anybody wants to make a narrative, right? So what this white paper tells is, like, if you see here, so initially they start some communication or something. Okay, and they once somebody makes a claim and start, they amplify. Okay, they use many sites to make the, to amplify the messages, and then they start to share with people. Okay, and once they start sharing with people, and it automatically, it keeps on moving in the sense, once I start sharing these things, so let's say from a government some guys are making some claims, and I don't want to name any government name. It's just they start to make some claims, and the media starts taking that into understanding whatever the claim they made, and they start publishing, and people doesn't check things whether it is correct or not. They start to like, retweet, or share, and it goes on viral. Okay, and ultimately what happens is they'll come into conclusion that that this is the correct narrative. So that means the news which is originated somewhat will be deviated at the end. Okay, so that is uh, the system they are trying to make, the well planned ecosystem. Okay, so yep, so that's what I was talking about. So if you say once the government makes some claim, and then they'll start proposing in some TVs, and then they'll start printing in some newspapers and all this stuff, and then finally they will say that using your social media and all this stuff. So it's like a circle. Okay, it keeps on going. And one good example I can show you here is, if you see here, this is one good example. So this example is mentioned from there. So all the things which I'm talking about this is from this paper. So I'm not doing any I'm taking things on biased format. These are things where they are talking about. They have researched this stuff, and they found that these are the stuff which is propagating stuff based on their analysis. So if you one good thing, if you see here, like a global research, I don't know, these guys they're seeing that further evidence that a virus is originated. Okay, so they make claim on based on this, and when it is March 11 2020. So this is one good example of your for disinformation campaign. Okay, so these guys they talk on this, and if you see their outreach, so this is till when, June 2020, and if you see here in Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, so people have this many followers are there. So ultimately what happens is, these people, once they share, like, and thing, it will reach many people. So ultimately this information it moves more higher. Okay, and one more thing is, this global research, I believe it is in a Canadian website. Okay, but it has some ties with some Russian center of I don't know, with Russian authors or something. That's what they're trying to say. So their main aim is to bring more some conspiracy theories and all this stuff. So that's what the article claims, which they are trying to say. Okay, but it's believed that so this is some examples which they are trying to bring. Okay, so these are some stuff which they are talking about here, and yep. So this one is a good example of this global research. So let me go ahead for the next one. So this is about the next paper. So here they talk about China propaganda system. So what they are telling here is, they have these two departments. One is like CDP and UFWD. So the main thing what they are trying to do is, they try to police or the policy. They mentioned some rules. That means it should not be against the government. So that means whatever they say, it should be in terms of narrative. So that's what this paper claims. And yeah, so there are two departments you have, CDP and Central Propaganda Department, or next you have UFWD. Okay, you have two people over there, two different departments which handles this stuff. And yep, so if you see here, so like they mentioned that, what I interesting I found is, so you need to follow some loyalty. So loyalty in the sense they are trying their thought, politics, and action. So they should pledge to the party. Okay, to the all state media outlets. Okay, so that's what they're saying. So that's interesting. So it's like, you have to, whatever the info that means. What I'm trying to understand is, if any information you find, if it doesn't align with the government, and it should not be published. But if it aligns with your government, then you can publish. So that's what they're trying to do, and that's what I found. And they have, like different types inside. So what they say is they have some content forms or something websites. It's like a clickbait, where you can generate. They will, generate many revenues based on that, or the articles they are publishing. And one is, they are called as a 50 cent party. I think most probably you guys would have heard, like, what do they call this? What was it? Diplomacy. So ultimately what they are saying is digital commenter. So if anybody is posting something, so these guys will start posting, like, like, this is good, and if it's against the government, then they will try to say that, West or US is, doesn't want the government to, bring prosperity to our people and reach the very good heights. So it's like, they have this audience, or it's like government division, military division or something. I'm not sure about them, but according to the analysis by the Stanford paper or white paper, they say that this content forms and 50 cent army party are there. Okay, where they analyze or make this comment. So whoever post immediately, they start start doing comments. And I found it a good example here. It's like the narrative here. And if you see, this is one of the examples, the Global Times. And if you see, especially the ads or something, and if you see in the range of this particular date, when it is from December to March, the ads been higher when this COVID was reaching at very peak. So that means they are trying to, I don't know whether they are trying to make send more disinformation, or they are trying to protect their country. But ultimately what they are trying to say in here is, they are trying to divert the attention. But I'm not sure how well structured their 50 cent army, or what do you call, content forms are in sites. Okay, so they have a huge base. That's what they're trying to say. And if you see here, this is one pretty good tabular column they are given, if I'm not wrong. So they are telling how these guys are doing, the disinformation, and how does it differ between the China and Russia. So basically, if you say misinformation, mostly it's like Iran, Russia, and China. And here they are trying to cover the difference between people and how they are doing. Okay, if you see here, like how these two guys are. So if you see a state-owned media in case of China, and in case of Russia, they have different properties like RT and the different subsidies. And in terms of Media, state media, yep, they have Facebook, Twitter and all the stuff, and same, it's common for both the people. Okay. And the content forms, I was talking about the website, right, which they give a clickbaiting. Okay, so here there are many sites are there. I'm not sure what are the site names, but that's what they're talking about. And in covert, if you see, I was talking about the 50 Cent army, right? Fake accounts, and they start to do commenting, or you call, I don't know whether it's wolf or your diplomacy and 50 Cent army are same, but yep, they talk about the same things. They talk about the fake accounts run by many intelligence also. So these are the different uh, difference between China and Russia disinformation. And if you see here, the examples here, what they are trying to say. In terms of in China, they are talking about emergence of COVID and Hong Kong protesters, where this 50 Cent army comments people that it's not a peaceful protest and they are attacking. And when we talk about Russia, yes, you might have heard about the Russian disinformation where WikiLeaks, the dump and all this stuff, and yep, and other different examples are domestic political manipulation or Syrian war. Okay, so these are different stuff. So ultimately, what I'm trying to say here is, it's disinformation is real, and the narrative is like they have they have a structured environment. So like how in the organization you have VP, director, manager and analyst, where the chain of command is there and it's been communicated, planned, how well you execute the project. So you have the same concept where it is present in the government thing. So in case if you want to expose somebody and if they're coming forward, and they will destroy you by by using various means of this disinformation, you will not know whether it is correct or not at that time, that period of time. Okay, so if something is going on, the decision you take in that period of time, it will be overshadowed with by the various disinformation, and they have a very good platform. So yep, so that's the so that's what in going forward the cyber war will be higher when compared to the physical war. So I just thought making some short video. It's not it's like just trying out some stuff. So let me see how this goes on. So if you find time, you guys can just go through that two white paper, what they're talking about. So my ultimate aim was today is to give you some info or insight that disinformation is real and it's very well organized. Okay, and it's very well organized. And yep, so that's how the tactics and methodologies these people use. And there are some people who are there who is analyzing this stuff. Okay, so yep, so that's what I want to talk about. This is the first short video. Yep, thank you. Thank you guys.